What is your weirdest experience while going to the gym? Story 1. Back in the early 1980s and late 1970s, I used to work out at Gold's Gym in a western Canadian city. The gym was also the favorite workout spot for professional wrestlers when they were doing a gig in town. The weirdest thing was seeing how dramatically different some of these guys were in real life compared to their wrestling personas. One guy, whose persona was of a British dock worker type, would show up at the gym in a three-piece suit and speaking the poshest of British accents, and was constantly giving other wrestlers investment and tax advice. Apparently, he was an accountant as well. What was surprising was that some of them weren't faking it, but in real life, they were as rude, selfish, and ignorant as their characters. I also remember how sad it was seeing how some of the older wrestlers were really suffering from dementia, probably cumulative effects of concussions, and were literally guided through everything by other wrestlers, even simple things like getting dressed. I was impressed by the care some of these guys gave to their older colleagues who needed constant attention. However, the most interesting experience was Jesse Ventura. Of course, when the wrestlers showed up, they were generally followed around by a horde of fans, usually teenage boys. Some were hostile to their fans, telling them to F off. Others gave a quick acknowledgement and then moved on. However, Jesse would spend an incredible amount of time with his fans, especially the younger ones, listening and talking to all of them with total attention. I remember seeing him trying to do a leg press while taking questions from a crowd of boys about what it means to be a man. Even back then, when he was just the heel, Jesse the Body, out of the ring, he showed that he understood the impact that he could have as a role model to young men and took it seriously. When he became governor of Minnesota, I was definitely not surprised. As a Minnesotan, we are kind of proud of Jesse. Somehow he became our governor and didn't frick it up because he was smart enough to hire the right people and delegate correctly. Occasionally, I still hear him on 93X, our local rock station. Story 2. The Weight Witches. Lady walks in on a Saturday morning. I've never seen it there before. She was significantly overweight, but had on gloves and knee braces, so I figured she's a powerlifter on a bulk. I'm warming up doing some cable internal rotations and have my headphones on, so I don't see that she sets up at the cable machine behind me. I finish my set and turn around, and I see her getting ready. She's got a straight bar attached to the cable machine with the arm down near the ground and the bar on the floor. She half-crouched/squatted in front of this thing, and I'm thinking she's about to do some kind of squat, when she starts waving her hands, as in the kind of hand-waving a wizard does when he's imitating someone imitating Bob Fosse-esque jazz hands. I couldn't stop watching. She did this for at least 30 seconds before she grabbed the bar to start exercising. And when I say grab the bar, I mean pick it up with both hands, extend it until it gets resistance from the weight, and then start standing up and half-squatting/crouching. She wasn't engaging any weight, she was just using the bar as something to hold in her hands as she stood up and crouched down slightly. She did this for 3 sets, and then moved to some cardio machines. I saw her a few times after that, each time doing something equally nonsensical, and always with the incantation and motions. I miss her, and hope she found a nice coven. I can only imagine what was going through her head that morning. Feeling good. I haven't been to the gym in years, possibly decades, but today's the day. I'll start my routine with my usual non-weighted bar for balance squats, and then I'll do an introductory 1 minute on each cardio machine at the gym. It'll be great. Story 3. The gym I go to is full of regulars in a well-off suburb in the Midwest. Everyone kind of knows everyone from the community, and you eventually get forced to know each other. I've tried on several occasions to ignore most of these people there, but you eventually get roped into some conversation, then introductions, and before you know it, the whole gym is calling you by name. One evening, an older guy who I had never really talked to other than a hi or bye is lifting like usual. I no longer see the guy and think nothing of it. Some time passes by and I'm finishing up heading to the locker room, and the guy is confidently standing outside the locker room, naked. He just seemed to be going about his day. If you have ever seen a case of acting like you belong, this would be a textbook case because he walked past several other people who didn't even say a word. Immediately, I beeline to the gym staff and tell them because there are kids who occasionally come to this area, and there are also women around. The guy proceeds to hold conversations with other gym goers, dong out and everything. They try to corral him into the locker room, but he doesn't seem like he wants to go. I did my part, so I just sat in the sauna, and by the time I came out, the paramedic was there, and they were asking him questions. The staffer I alerted to what was happening said they think he had a stroke. I now see that man almost every day, and we have not mentioned that day at all since. We're all more talkative than ever, greeting each other daily, sharing quick work stories, but not a single word about when he came out the locker room and stood in the middle of the weight room butt naked. Story 4. There's this guy me and my old lift partner used to call an Asian guy. He's this guy that's like about 6'1" if I had to guess, super lean, widest lats, and biggest traps I've ever seen. Anyway, I always used to look forward to watching him lift, and for a while would make sure I was scheduling when I got to the gym for when an Asian guy got there, because for months, at least 6 times a week, he would exclusively train legs. And by exclusively train legs, I mean he would be at the squat rack for no less than 3 hours. I'd always just kinda hung around to see if he would do anything else a little after my own workout, and for that period of time, he never did. Until one day, I was doing a push workout and was doing lateral raises. I was using 15s or something really light for a warm-up, and between squat sets, he came over to the dumbbells and repped out like 3 reps of 50-pound lateral raises. So I looked at him weird, and he saw me and ran over to rep out another 5 reps of 365-pound squats. I was so stoked I saw him doing something other than squatting that I told my friend, I saw an Asian guy doing lat raises trying to one-up me, and he responded by saying he did the exact same thing to him with the exact same exercise. Anyway, after a few months, he started doing an actual normal rotation of push-pull legs, which was far less entertaining, and somewhere along the way, he started using locker number 69, which is the one I usually use, so I've started trying to go before he gets there. I miss Asian guy. I'm thinking he liked you. Missed opportunity there, dude. The signs were there. He took your 69 for goodness sake. Story 5. I saw a guy in the corner with a 1,000-yard stare just frozen in the locker room. I used to work with the homeless and rehabilitation, and there's a certain look I've gotten used to that's hard to explain. It's the, I'm an addict and I'm about to frick up my life and all the progress I've made so that I can score look. This kid had that same look. So I went over and talked to him, wearing a swimsuit, goggles, and my flip-flops. There's a certain pushiness that comes with, I'm a stranger who thinks you're about to frick up your life, so let's talk about it, even though you don't want to talk about it, kind of conversation. Turns out I was right. The guy had been clean for 2 months, and life was falling apart, and he just wanted a good score of hits. So I talked him down. I talked about how he had a bunch of white chips. You get a white chip for 24 hours of sobriety, but hardly any reds, 1 month, or golds, 2 months. I told him that he's closer than he's ever been to getting a green, 3 months, and that I'd be thrilled to see him get that. I have a pretty clean keychain that goes through all the colors at once, different program with different colors, but same idea, which makes a pretty good conversation piece for folks waffling on recovering. I even had him hand over his stash so he wouldn't use it once he got home. Dang, salute. Story 6. There's a regular at my gym who always gets stares. She's pretty much built like a stick, and she's an older woman in her mid-50s. I've seen her a couple of times doing this workout. She literally spends no more than 30 to 45 seconds on each machine and does them with the worst form I've ever seen in my life, as fast as she possibly can. For example, on the cable pull-down, she'll pull the handle to her neck level, let it raise to about nose level, and pull it down again. She'll do this move of about 3 to 4 inches of motion just as fast as she possibly can for about 30 to 45 seconds. Then she'll move as fast as she can to the leg press, which she'll fully extend her legs, and with her legs nearly extended, she'll just bounce the weight over and over. At no point does she return anywhere close to the start position until she's done after about 30 to 45 seconds. Then she'll go to the treadmill or the rowing machine or something and do that with the worst possible form. After about 5 minutes, she's done, and she'll quit and leave. There was a guy just like this at my gym. Way too much weight and would only move the bar about 6 inches back and forth in a jerking, violent motion. Just shake my head and move on. Story 7. I go to the gym at lunch, and my office is somewhat close to a good-sized university, so some of the college students also go there since it's cheap and close. One day I was at the gym with a work buddy. We were alternating sets on the butterfly machine, which was right in front of a row of treadmills. There were a few folks on the treadmill, an older guy I'd say in his mid-50s, and 2 college-aged women, 2 treadmills away from the older guy. They're wearing t-shirts and shorts of the local college. The women are running pretty hard, doing some interval work. After a few sets, the woman closest to the old guy lifts her shirt to wipe her forehead sweat off. She's not wearing anything underneath said shirt. The older guy looks over and notices this, and promptly stumbles on the treadmill and shoots backward onto the floor about 5 feet. I'm in the middle of my rep when all this happens, and I can't stop laughing. My gym buddy turns around at all the noise of the guy falling over. The two women immediately run to the bathroom giggling. I still wonder if this was all some kind of prank or just an accident. Never saw those two at the gym again. Story 8. Gyms are notoriously where the odd people congregate around here. My brother and I would always try to keep track of all the different oddballs at the gym, including the Mirror Man. No one knows if he actually lifts at all, since he spends nearly all observable time flexing and checking himself out in the mirror. The old book lady literally came to the gym, changed, sat on the end of a bench press bench, read from a book, changed, left. Never talked to anyone or exercised at all. The Flipper. Guy hung around the free weights, never lifted anything, but really liked his music. Every 10 to 15 minutes, he would randomly do a backflip. That was his workout. The Hot Chick. The girl in yoga pants and a sports bra would set up at the squat rack opposite of the benches. She would play on her phone, sometimes for close to an hour, until a specific large guy would start doing bench press. Suddenly, she was doing low-weight squats and some random hip thrusts right in line with him taking breaks between sets. Everyone knew why she was there. The Zumba Guy. This one isn't a specific guy, but there always seems to be one guy in every Zumba class. He's always super into it, and it flows through him and his interpretive dancing. Story 9. As a wise man once said, they have two types of people, men 65 and older, and guys who cover their dongs. Maybe it's an age thing, but do not talk to me in a locker room. Frankly, don't talk to me at all, but especially in the locker room. If my dong is exposed to open air, that is not a time for a conversation about gas prices. Also, perhaps not weird, but definitely not expected. A few years ago, I was super intense about going to the gym. I went 5 days a week, had a personal trainer, the whole deal. At one point, I was getting off the treadmill, and a guy stopped me, saying he had seen me at the gym before and could notice a marked difference in my physique, and that I was working out really well and shed a lot of weight in like 6 months. I thanked him, mentioned some things I did, and moved on. But I always remember the random compliment that made me keep going. Because of boot camp, I saw 82 dongs a day for 13 straight weeks. It just doesn't bother me to be naked, hold conversations naked, clean my balls while maintaining eye contact. It only bothers you for as long as you let it. Story 10. I swear my gym is actually a gateway into the Fae. One time I saw a fit man with impeccable flowing locks stare himself down in the mirror. He just kept saying, "Yes," and growling a bunch. Then he went over to the stretching area and did what could only be described as jazzercise while listening to aggressive hip-hop on his headphones, so loud I could hear it from the squat rack. Periodically, he'd holler out grunts and hype sounds and curse words with the music. I'm pretty sure he was a lynx in a human body. One time I'm on the bench and I hear two dudes, "You look freaking amazing, bro. You're the best looking dude in this gym." "Nah, you are, bro." I turn around after a set and they're identical twins. There's this old guy who wears a toupee to the gym. It's hideous, like he decided when he bought this wig, "I'll be ginger now." But he's like a swarthy Mediterranean white dude. When he works out, the toupee wax that affixes it to his bald skull melts and runs down the side of his head. He never seems to mind. That twin story is gold. I wonder how often they've done that. Story 11. This one's kind of weird. Moving to a new place, no friends / nightlife, so I went to the gym twice a day. One night I was closing the place down with a swim and was almost the last person in the building. Nobody was in the locker room, but I could hear a shower on. Walked into the shower and assumed that some butt hat had just left it on. As I got closer, though, I saw a shadow. I just went into the shower stall I was adjacent to. Men's showers, so no doors. There was a man there leaning hard against the wall with a hard-on out front and one hand reaching down behind his back. When I turned on my shower, he froze, turned towards me in shock, and I watched a 10-inch dill pickle dough flop out of his butt and hang between his legs. He then proceeded to drop it and awkwardly try to kick it to the side so I wouldn't see it when he picked it up. I can't unsee it. Story 12. I hate to run, but run about a mile a day at a 10-minute mile pace before I go and do weights. Like, I hate it so much, I wish for a heart attack to take me away at about minute 4. In any case, the treadmills at our gyms have big timers on them that are easy to read. I get on the treadmill one day and see that the guy beside me is running a 5K, a preset on the machine, and has been on for about 4 minutes. But he's going fast, like a full-out sprint. I punch in my 12 minutes, 10-minute mile plus 2-minute cooldown, and start to run. We finish at the same time. Dude ran a 5K in about 16 minutes, Full-on sprint the whole time. I was just kinda in a daze thinking about it for the rest of my workout. Story 13. I was leaving the other day for the showers, and a girl, maybe 21, never spoken to her before, comes off the treadmill to speak to me, and the following conversation ensued. Are you going back to your car? Yes. Are you parked at the one you have to pay for? You have to pay for all of them. Is it the one outside? Not multi-story. There's 4 that are outside. Is it far? Explain the location to try and progress the conversation to a conclusion. Okay then, don't worry. Bye. No context, no nothing. To this day, I can't figure out what her angle was, but it was very weird. Story 14. I was on the treadmill waiting for the only squat rack to open up. A guy was holding it up, talking to some other guy, and they talked for like 15 minutes. I was about to ask if I could work in, and then they started praying. Other guy put his head down, and the squat guy put his hands on the other guy's shoulders and started praying and doing that loud, oh thing between sentences Southern Baptist preachers do. And then another guy walked up to get in on the action, at the loaded squat rack. I just went and worked my legs on the machines. Lord bless these gains we are about to receive. Story 15. Skeleton of a man was psyching himself up for a 225-pound squat. Deep breaths, loud grunting, and smelling salts included. Proceeded to get under the bar, squatted what seemed like less than half a rep, more like a quarter rep with bad form, re-racked the weight, and proceeded to yell, "Frick yeah," as if he was at the powerlifting meet. I think he had too much pre-workout in my opinion. Oh god, pre-workout? There's a guy at my gym I would describe as the Incredible Hulk, but not green. Dude is huge. I swear, his pre-workout is like the souls of infant children or something. Story 16. Not really weird, but this huge guy was weightlifting at the gym I frequent, and he farted, and it was the longest fart I've ever heard, like at least 30 seconds long. He couldn't stop giggling like a little girl, and then everyone else started laughing and clapping like he just performed a theater piece. It was surreal. I was on the treadmill once, had to fart, let a little bit go to see if they were going to be noisy. I didn't hear anything, so proceeded to fart my way through the rest of my cardio. Eventually it dawned on me I had headphones in. Story 17. There's this guy that does interval training on the treadmill hilariously wrong. It looks like he's trying to imitate Roadrunner from Looney Tunes. Imagine someone upping the speed on the treadmill so much that they have to hold onto the railings to keep from flying off. That's how this guy sprints on the treadmill. The stride of his legs is ridiculous as well. His heels are legit halfway up his back on each stride. That reminds me of this jokey run I used to do as a kid, where I'd kick myself in the butt with each step, just because it was fun. Story 18. I like to go after lunch, so I skip the lunch crowds, and it's enough time to work out before the after-work crowd rolls in. Usually it's just old folks and gym rats at that time, so it's great. There's this elderly man that wears khakis, a button-down shirt, and a sweater vest while working out. Oh, I experienced this the last time I was in the gym. Dude was full-on sprinting around the indoor walking track, wearing dress pants, dress shoes, and a tie. Like it's 8:45 p.m. Just bring a change of clothes to the office for when you hit the gym after. Story 19. Red Hoodie Guy would come into the gym always wearing the same red hoodie. He would hit the treadmill at 8 to 10 miles per hour and just go. He could keep this pace for 30 minutes, but never seemed to get exhausted. Here's where it gets weird. He must have had headphones on under the hoodie because he would air guitar and headbang the entire time. Imagine a guy running at full tilt while shredding on an air guitar non-stop for half an hour, not breathing heavily or grunting, before abruptly stopping and walking out of the gym. This man is an anime character. Story 20. I got literally flexed on. I saw a girl who I mistook as somebody I knew and went to say hi. She was cool about it, said it's happened before. Then a guy came over and said, "Something going on here?" and literally just flexed. I've never had a bad experience at the gym before, but this dude was above and beyond. Always see them together now. Dude must have some redeeming qualities about him. Maybe that was the first time they met, and she immediately fell in love with him due to how hard he flexes his muscles. Story 21. Not sure about going to the gym, but while at the gym just a couple of weeks ago, this guy calls across the gym to another guy and says, "I can smell you from here. Do you play lacrosse?" To which he replied, "I played when I was younger." First guy says, "That's what I thought. You smell like dry jazz." There were probably 12 people in the gym. So random. I'm losing my crap. That's a hilarious way to tell someone they stink. Story 22. I was running on the treadmill, and there was this scruffy guy all hunched down like 3 treadmills away, and he kept loudly muttering to himself, "You can do it, you got this," and making weird noises. He kept doing it for like 20 minutes. At first, I was annoyed because he was rather loud, and it was weird, but after about 10 minutes, I distractedly started thinking to myself, I can do this, I got this. He was unintentionally inspiring to me. Story 23. A guy at a very nice luxury gym was not just dropping his squats, he was actively throwing them up and letting them drop 4+ feet to the safety rack, causing a ridiculously loud sound and a crash. When I asked him to stop, he was extremely aggressive and rude and said he had been a member for 10 years. Management ended up kicking him out about 10 minutes later. Sir, we've only been open for 5 years. Story 24. A football team was training in the pool. As I approached it to swim laps, they began yelling out what they wanted to do to me. Gym staff immediately asked them to leave. When their coach apologized to me and asked me to ask gym staff to reconsider their decision, I wouldn't. Good on the gym staff for jumping on that crap, and double good on you for not letting it fly. Frick 'em. Story 25. I was doing bench presses, had no headphones on, and there were these 2 dudes talking about what kind of corn they like. You'd think they'd whisper this, but no, it was just casual talking. Then this one dude says he can't get it up naturally anymore, so he'd been experimenting with pills to see which one would work for him. I had to move to another bench after that. Story 26. I remember a guy would spit and lick his hands before lifting weights or using machines and wouldn't clean it afterwards. Then, even weirder, he would straight up moan like he was fricking while lifting the heavier weights. It was weird and gross. Someone sounds the lunk alarm. Story 27. A buddy of mine went up to a girl who had been hitting the StairMaster pretty hard. She was really grinding and sweating, so what was his pickup line? "Hi, you're really wet." They got married. I'd get pepper sprayed. Story 28. The woman who was hanging out in the locker room in her underwear. She was there when I came in, and still there an hour later. Someone told me she was probably an Instagram model doing a selfie photo shoot. Story 29. I accidentally put my number code into another lock that was beside mine, botched the last number, and the lock actually opened. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.